Welcome to the Warrior Way, the Woodhaven-Brownstown School District podcast, where we talk about all things WBSD. My name is Mark Greathead, the Superintendent of the Woodhaven-Brownstown School District, and I'll be your host as we celebrate where we've been, what we're doing, and where we're going. Today on the Warrior Way podcast, we are going to pull back the curtain on a topic that has a direct impact on our communities and especially our children. We're going to do a dive into how school bonds function, their real-world applications, and their tangible effect on learning environments. We'll take a look at the Woodhaven-Brownstown School District's 2021 bond and how parents, students, and community members can see how this bond has improved our district. With me today is the Woodhaven-Brownstown School District's Director of Finance, Josh Smith. Welcome, Josh.
Thanks for having me today, Mark. So I realize that finances aren't necessarily the most exciting topic for a podcast, but it's just what we've been doing with the 2021 bond funds that are really the exciting elements to talk about. So what's fascinating here is realizing that school bonds are not just abstract financial jargon. They are quite literally the blueprints for new classrooms, the wiring for cutting edge technology, and really the foundations for a safe, innovative space where students can, truly thrive. Understanding them is key to seeing how a community actively invests in its educational future.
Thanks, Josh. Let's start with the most fundamental question. What exactly is a school bond?
So at its core, a school bond is essentially a loan. It's a loan that the district takes out. They do this by selling bonds to investors, and the funds raised are specifically earmarked for large capital improvement projects. Think of it as a way for a district to finance significant long-term upgrades that are just really too big to fit into a regular annual budget. In Michigan, there's a crucial additional layer to this, and that these bonds must be approved by voters. That's key. They also come with pretty strict guidelines from the Michigan Department of Treasury, which limit how these funds can be used. Critically, bond dollars are restricted solely to capital expenses.
Okay, that distinction sounds incredibly important. Capital expenses. How about you walk us through some of those allowable uses? And maybe more importantly, what are some of the unallowable uses? Where does that line really get drawn?
That is a great question. The allowable uses are quite clear, actually. They're about the physical infrastructure and major assets, things that will benefit students for decades. So this includes building new buildings, undertaking significant renovations, additions to existing buildings, purchasing furniture and fixtures, major technology upgrades across the district. We can even buy new school buses and invest in energy efficiency projects. These are all the things that will improve the physical learning environment and have a long lifespan. Now for the unallowable uses, and this is really extremely important for transparency. Bond funds cannot be used for operational costs, period. That means they can't pay for salaries and benefits for staff. They cannot cover general maintenance like fixing the leaky faucets. They can't buy everyday classroom supplies like paper and pencils or fund utilities or other operational expenses. The distinction is critical. Bond funds improve the physical environment, buildings, the big stuff, but they absolutely cannot fund the day-to-day operations or cover recurring costs.
So if bond funds can't cover things like staff salaries or everyday supplies, how do districts make sure these new and expanded facilities are adequately staffed and maintained operationally once the bond projects are done?
It's just the budget. That's where sound financial planning really comes in. Districts operate a general fund budget that's primarily funded by state aid and local property taxes, and that's what covers salaries, utilities, and daily operations. The challenge is ensuring that the increased operational costs of a larger, more tech-heavy building can actually be absorbed by that general fund budget. Successful districts often include those operational cost projections in their overall bond planning. Sometimes they even phase projects in to manage these impacts over time. It really speaks to good financial stewardship.
Well, that really does underscore the importance of transparency and community trust. What kind of practices do the most successful school districts use to not just show transparency, but to actively build and maintain trust, especially over the long term, since these projects can span years?
So it really begins with very clear ballot language. As a school district, we engage in continuous communication. We have a dedicated website that shows project progress. We can show some photos and timelines. We want to make sure the community sees the tangible results of their investment and that they understand the promises that we as a district made are actually being kept. It's really got to be an ongoing dialogue, not just a one-time vote.
Well, that's a powerful insight, Josh. Let's bring this to life for the Woodhaven-Brownstown School District's 2021 bond. This community approved a substantial $144 million bond that came with a no tax rate increase for our residents.
Yes, and that no increase of the tax rate isn't just good news for the residents' wallets. It often highlights the district's long-term financial management. Just to quickly clarify for listeners, this typically happens when older bond debts are being paid off. So that frees up a capacity for a new bond without needing to raise existing tax levies. It's actually a pretty common strategic approach that we at the Woodhaven-Brownstown School District are doing to show financial prudence to keep upgrading infrastructure without adding more burden to our taxpayers. I mean, right now, for summer of 2025 alone, the district is investing over $31 million in upgrades. And this isn't just one or two schools. Every single school in the district is being touched. The overarching goal behind these projects is really to create environments that are truly supporting the 21st century learning. Spaces are designated for collaboration, innovation, and, just preparing students for what comes next.
So what does this actually mean on the ground? What are the specific projects someone living in our community might actually see happening this summer? What are the key highlights for summer 2025?
There's a lot happening. It's quite impressive, really. At Bates and Gudith Elementary Schools, for instance, they're constructing new main offices that enhance security. They're also adding more classrooms to handle growth and building new smart labs. These are integrated, flexible spaces with cutting-edge technology for hands-on project-based learning. You'll also see new playgrounds, updated furniture, even parking lot resurfacing, little things and very big things. The Special Services Building is undergoing a complete configuration to better support students with unique learning needs, which is really fantastic. Then over at Brownstown Middle School, they're completing Phase 2 renovations that includes a brand new pool area, upgraded athletic fields, and an updated learning commons, which is sort of the modern take on a library or media center, really designed for collaborative work. And then over at Woodhaven High School, there's really exciting new dental lab going in. This is going to offer hands-on training directly aligned with real-world healthcare careers for incredible vocational pathways for students. That's in addition to renovations in science spaces, the cafeteria, and upgraded tennis courts. Finally, Waginka, Irving, and Yake Elementary Schools will each receive a new GSRP playground. GSRP is Michigan's Great Start Readiness Program, so these focus on developmentally appropriate play areas for those early childhood kiddos. Waginka also received a new backup generator, which is always good for those emergencies.
Well, that's quite a list for this summer. But this bond, it isn't just about what's happening right now. It's already brought significant changes since it was approved back in 2021. What's already been done and what's still on the horizon after this summer?
So work has been continuous since 2021. The bond has already delivered new playgrounds across the district, which kids always love. It's funded the transformation of Patrick Henry Middle School into what is now Woodhaven Upper Elementary. There were performing arts renovations at the high school, upgraded classrooms, common areas throughout the entire district. It's been a steady, visible stream of improvements year after year. And looking ahead beyond summer of 2025, the plans continue into 2026. There's another $18 million earmarked for upgrades, specifically at Irving, Waginka, and Yake Elementary Schools. These future projects include adding more classroom space, developing more of those smart labs that we've talked about, and redesigning main offices for improved functionality and, very importantly, for security.
Well, it's really clear that this ongoing work, this investment in education, is only possible through the support of our community. Given that we have these long-term commitments, what's maybe the biggest misconception you hear about the legacy or even the challenges of sustaining these kinds of ambitious bond projects?
Yeah, it's really a misconception that once a bond is passed, you blink your eyes and all the work is done and it's over. But in reality, these are multi-year complex plans. They require careful phasing. You encounter unexpected challenges like supply chain issues or any of the other challenges that have happened in industries around us since 2021. Another challenge, which ties back to our earlier discussion, is ensuring that the operational budget can actually keep pace with the enhanced facilities. You build a bigger building, it costs more to run. So it's a continuous balancing act for district leadership to manage the construction with the finances and ongoing educational mission all at once.
So, to just bring it all together, then, what we've unpacked today really shows that school bonds are far more than just financial tools on a balance sheet. They seem to be fundamental investments in safety, in fostering innovation, and ultimately in preparing students for college and careers. They really reflect a community's vision for its future.
Absolutely. This deep dive into school bonds reveals, I think, a fascinating intersection of community values, financial strategy, and educational ambition. And beyond the visible construction, it prompts us to ask, what can an education system, when strategically supported by its community, truly achieve? I think it reaches further into shaping our local workforce, strengthening civic pride, and building a stronger, more connected future for everyone.
That's a very powerful perspective, Josh. The 2021 bond has been and continues to be a community-wide investment in what matters most: our students, our schools, and our shared future. We hope today's conversation helped shine a light on not just the what, but the why behind these transformative projects happening throughout the Woodhaven-Brownstown School District. We encourage you to stay connected. Please visit our website and follow us on social media, and keep an eye on your local schools. The story of the 2021 bond isn't finished, it's still being written, and we're grateful to have you along for the journey. That's it for today's episode of The Warrior Way. You can catch all of our episodes on Spotify, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Sirius, and wherever you get your podcasts. You can also find us on mywbsd.org and on rss.com. Thank you for listening.